Hey, grab your favorite cup and pull up a chair. I'm Jess, and welcome to the Empress. If life feels a little loud right now, take a breath. You're in the right place. You know how sometimes you need a tarot reader and sometimes you need a therapist? Well, here you get both. I'm mixing the behavioral science from my clinical background with the intuition of the tarot to help you simplify the chaos. Let's make some magic. Hey, hi, hello. Welcome or welcome back to the pod. I'm so glad that you're here. Yes, it is May 12th. Yes, I did not do a podcast for the previous month of April. There's some things going on, and I'm going to tell you. But first, I just want to deliver what I always deliver, which is our tarot reading for the remainder of May. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're building, the blueprint, right? What are we trying to construct this month? All right, so we have the Three of Swords in the reverse position. So, forgiveness, we have releasing pain, we have moving on from something. This is interesting. Let's see how this plays out all together when we pull the other card. What's the specific tool or resource, right, that we need to use to forgive, to move on, to let go, to heal, to recover? Ooh, the Hermit. Okay. Little soul searching, a little introspection. I like this a lot. Meditation comes up in the Hermit card. Deeply devotional to the self is what comes up. And then what's the catalyst to get this action moving? What is the spark? All right. That is going to be the Empress, and she's coming up also in the reverse position. When we get her reversed, we've got to be aware of our anxiety, of our impatience, of where um, we're not being kind to ourselves. So I think in some ways that can be the barometer when we're clocking, hey, I'm not being nice to myself in this moment. I need to go back to being kind to myself. Let me go within and let me ask myself, what does being kind to myself look and feel like right now in this moment? Putting all three of these cards together. So we have the Three of Swords in the reverse position, the Hermit card, which is a major arcana card, and the Empress in the reverse position, which is also a major arcana card. The rest of the month is like very personal in terms of it's felt deeply within. So if you find yourself emotional for the remainder of May, that's exactly where you're meant to be. When we're healing, it doesn't always feel good. It can be messy. It can bring up a lot of grief. And I think sometimes if our belief system perceives grief as a negative feeling or negative emotion or a place that it's bad to be, it's unsafe to be is more like what I mean, then we're going to try to avoid it. We're going to run away from it. Or when we start to experience it, we're going to continue making these unnecessary negative associations with that particular emotional state, the state of grief, sadness, the messiness of it all. And I think we just need to be mindful of that. And again, let that be a barometer for like, oh, I'm over in this zone here of all or nothing thinking, of judgment, of overanalyzing. Let me come back to myself. I really love the Hermit. It's connected to an earth sign, and so is the Empress, actually. So be in the body. The feelings are not thoughts, right? They're in our body, they're located somewhere. And part of healing, especially when it comes to increasing your emotional intelligence, which, of course, if we're talking about intelligence, that is like the heady part of it, being able to categorize things. But in exploring what you're feeling in your body, you have to be able to do that in a way that makes sense. You want to give it language. So, is it heavy? Is it light? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it smooth? Is it prickly? Use any other, you know, word describing word that you can think of to really help yourself navigate your own inner world. I was with a client earlier, and she was talking about how when she grows, anytime she hits like a growth edge and really like spreads her wings and flies, people will always try to say, you know, you're too much of this, you're too much of that, don't do it this way, don't do it that way, just sort of all these things like opinions and criticisms usually. And she's like, I'm not doing that anymore. You know, I'm really just listening to what I'm feeling, validating what I'm feeling, and I'm taking action in a way that makes sense to me based on my inner world. And I think that's a beautiful place to be. And I want all of us to be there as often as we can, because everyone's going to tell you, you know, what they're thinking and what they're feeling and how things should be according to their worldview. But like how you feel is how you feel. Seeking an inner truth is a huge part of this hermit energy. And I don't think that there's one capital T truth. I think that there's nuances to everything. It's all subject reality. Even when it comes down to like morals and ethics, right? It's not the same for every single person on the planet. It's a lot of people, a lot of different, a lot of different ways to see things. And how you see yourself, it really matters. And you want to hold yourself with as much kindness and compassion as you can. And kindness and compassion, they don't mean giving yourself a pass when things get hard. When the healing gets hard, when it gets messy, when you have to stay in that sadness or be in that uncomfortable place of exploring whatever the feeling is. Let's not even label the feeling. Let's just say you're navigating complex emotions. Compassion is saying, I can do this. I can be here. I don't have to get it right every single time, but I can certainly open up to the possibility that I can understand more here. And I'm going to sit in this even though it's hard and it's uncomfortable. Okay. It's not giving yourself a free pass to just be like, "Oh, it's hard, I got to go," you know, or I'll deal with this later and pushing it off. And healing seems like it's really important to us this month. We don't want to hold on to the pain for forever. I think that there's going to be times in life when we're just going through painful experiences, and also remembering that how we're framing the world around us and how we're framing the experiences, they can either compound that pain or we can just be in pain and also be okay. Like we can be in emotional pain, we can be in mental anguish, but if we're telling ourselves that this is all that there ever is and this is all that there ever will be, we're compounding on top of that pain. We're adding to the suffering, so to speak. This is more of like a Buddhist philosophy than anything else. But releasing the pain might look like releasing the suffering, having that aha moment of, oh, you know what? Like, I might be in emotional pain. I might be in physical pain that I have to deal with, but I don't have to let that take control over every single moment of my day. I don't need to be preoccupied with what's not working well. I don't need to be preoccupied with what's out of my control. I don't. That's a choice. And once you recognize that you have a choice, you can then choose differently. You can explore your options and choose differently. So that soul searching is that hermit energy for sure. And the Empress, like I said, just making sure that you're not pushing yourself and forcing yourself into doing things, um, or even mental and emotional spaces that you're not quite ready for. So there's a balance, of course, to everything. There's nuance to everything. And I like to talk about the nuance because I think it matters and I think it's lacking in a lot of conversation today. It is not compassionate to force ourselves into doing something that we're not ready for either. Like, I don't recommend ripping the band aid off of like your childhood trauma and trying to get to the bottom of it in like one day. I don't think that's a good idea. So, if you're in an emotional space and you've been processing a lot of deep things, if you've been in grief 24/7, um, can you give yourself some relief, right? Again, talking about compounding on suffering, can you step away from um, what it is that you're steeped in? You don't have to force yourself to feel something that you're not ready to feel either. I see this happen sometimes. Hey there, coffee lovers. Are you tired of settling for boring coffee? I have a treat for you. Today's episode is brought to you by Heartwork Coffee Bar, your one stop destination for exceptional coffee experiences. Whether you're a coffee connoisseur or just someone who appreciates a great cup of joe, Heartwork Coffee Bar is here to elevate your coffee game to new heights. At Heartwork Coffee Bar, they take pride in their craft because each batch is carefully roasted to perfection, ensuring that every sip is a symphony of flavor. From the rich and the robust to the light and fruity, they have a coffee blend for every palate. And here's the best part. For you amazing podcast listeners, Heartwork Coffee Bar is offering an exclusive 10% discount on your purchase. Just use the code Empress10 at checkout and you'll save big on your order. Why settle for ordinary when you can indulge in the extraordinary coffee from Heartwork Coffee Bar? Remember to use code Empress10 for that special 10% discount and treat yourself to the coffee experience that you deserve. Don't miss out on this fantastic offer. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks to Heartwork Coffee Bar for making today's episode possible. Now go grab your favorite mug, brew a fresh cup, and enjoy the podcast with the perfect companion, Heartwork Coffee Bar. Cheers. Like, for example, sometimes people will try to feel ready. I'm not ready to do this thing, but I'm going to force myself to feel ready. Ask yourself, what can you still do even if you don't feel ready slash prepared, even if you don't feel excited, even if you don't feel motivated. Like, there's times where we have to do things and we don't necessarily have a good feeling about it. Um, so many nuances, right, to this compassion and impatience and forcing ourselves to do things. When I get the Empress in the reverse position, I also think about the protectiveness we have on our heart sometimes, um, around growth, around our healing. Because if we decide to heal, then what we've been holding on to, we no longer take comfort in what we've been holding on to, which is interesting, right? Because I'm sure you know this, but like they say that misery loves company. Sometimes people find comfort in their misery. And when you take that away from them and they're not ready to give it up, um, it's a whole war that gets waged between people, and it can be happening within yourself as well. So if you're not ready to give something up, that's okay. I think the Empress in the reverse position invites us to just be where we are in the messy in between. Maybe this month isn't about wrapping everything up. The healing is not about being wrapped up in a pretty bow and then being like, it's totally healed. Maybe it is just about saying, I'm not ready to give that up right now. Um, I know I need to change, but I'm not ready to change. That is a valid space. That is a space that a lot of people are in, and a lot of people will find themselves in. I've been there in so many different ways. I think when we talk about change and not ready to give it up, people think about like being addicted to something. And maybe there's an addiction to suffering, maybe there's an addiction to pain, but maybe not. We don't need to overanalyze it as the cards are already suggesting. We just need to be in the body and understand, like, where is that pain? Where is suffering in the body? When I notice suffering in my body, it's in my mind because I'm ruminating on something, because my angle is an angle where I'm only looking at the negative and I'm not expanding. I'm in a fear-based mindset usually. And again, trying to problem solve, but I'm not in my body feeling maybe there's another solution here. Maybe there's actually connectedness to myself and calm, and the suffering is just mental anguish, you know? Maybe there's actually nothing that I need to do or solve right now, and I can just drop into like being okay in the here and now. But it took me years to be able to arrive to that place of recognizing that suffering is a choice. And I don't always recognize it. Sometimes I'll just catch myself in the middle of a cycle and be like, oh my God, there I was. And that's okay. We got to be compassionate with ourselves, right? So I hope that this gives you some clarity and invites you into a space that may be like further into a space that you're already in, but kind of gives you more context around what healing can look like and the ways that healing shows up in our minds and in our bodies at the same time because it's complex, right? We contain multitudes. We contain multitudes. If you want to hear about what's been going on in the background of my life, then stay tuned. And if you don't, then I will see you on my next podcast episode where I pull more cards and tell you about the vibes. All right. Okay. So I put my tarot cards away. I'm going to take a sip of water and then I'll tell you, I'll spill the tea. All right. So, April, where to begin? My God. So, my sweet, innocent, precious baby Toro got really sick twice actually. And I had multiple emergency trips to the vet. Surgeries were involved, lots of time at home in recovery. He's actually going to be on lifelong medication. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But today, as of right now, he's sleeping right next to me. He's like perfectly fine. He made a full recovery. Things are looking good. Um, the pain it's a not a pain medication, excuse me. He was on pain medication post surgery, but he's on an anti-inflammatory lifelong medication now because of what he had to go through and what continues to still flare up in his body. We want to reduce that inflammation. But he's a great boy. He's doing wonderfully. So called up next to his brother, Willie. But what a ride. I really could not get grounded enough to do a podcast. And that's just the truth. I was such a wreck. um, I've had him since he was 6 months old. And, you know, if you have a bond with a pet, if you've ever bonded with a pet, when you know, you know. Of course, I do my best to practice what I preach, throw myself into the things I know that do make a difference, that try to stabilize me. But the podcast is not something that I have to do. It's something that I want to do. And it's something I want to do from a really clear space, as clear as I can be, I guess, to like do a podcast and have it make sense for you guys and be, helpful. So, yeah, I couldn't get there. So, that's that. And then also on top of that was the news that the nonprofit I work for is running out of money. And so my last day is actually going to be June 15th or like mid-June, somewhere in there. We're working on a donation campaign as I speak, which is awesome. And we're hoping to raise more money, but that money is going to go to um, jobs that are not like social media and marketing based, which is fine because the other people need things more than marketing and social media, right? Like the money's going to go towards grief groups, which is like obviously I'm so aligned with that. That's so fucking important. Um, as it should, as it should go to those things to folks who need the support. You don't need marketing and social media. Nobody needs it. It's fine. It's fine. Like I know the job that I had. Um, but it was an emotionally complex month because like everything that we've worked on, being my coworkers for the last few years, it's not that it doesn't amount to anything because it certainly does and it has impacted people. We even have data to back up how it has impacted people, which is incredible. But it's just that like we didn't get to see things to fruition in the way that we wanted. Like we didn't get to really see the vision come all the way full circle. And yeah, I had some sadness and grief about that. And I still have those moments of it right now. I'm working through this like, oh man, it just feels like this resistance. It's like I feel detached from the things that I need to do. This is all discipline. Everything that I'm exercising now when it comes to wrapping things up is just full discipline. There's no motivation whatsoever. Because I've never had to like write myself out of a job before, which is also just a wild experience too. Like I'm writing SOPs on how to replace me and everything I'm doing. And I process all this stuff with my therapist and with my coworkers actually, because we all have a therapeutic sense about ourselves. We've all been to therapy, so it's like a safe space to talk about stuff like that. And we're all in the same boat. We're all just like, this is so weird. It's so weird to like, you want more, you hope for more, you try for more, and more just isn't in the cards. And you're like, well, damn, okay. Like, all right, it is not for a lack of love and trying something. So yeah, it's like a relationship, you have a vision for it and then it doesn't come to fruition. And it's like, you have some feelings about that. So I will be back on the tarot apps and I'm really excited about that. I've learned a lot over the last, I don't know, decade doing this in person, online. Um, what I get to take away from having the stability of the 9 to 5, even though I was part-time, is that like the feeling of stability. I hadn't felt that for a really long time. And when it comes to like career and money, I felt stable in a lot of other areas of my life, but in that arena particularly, the up and down of working on an app, I realized I don't have to be so up and down. I can be more calm. I can be more long-term focused and not let oh, okay, like I maybe didn't hit my financial goal today. Yeah, there's tomorrow and I can try again. I can't let a bad week affect or shake me the way that it used to. There were definitely times before where I would like spiral out. And I think that is that is the entrepreneurial ride. That is like such a journey. And those of you who get it, you get it. If you don't, that's also totally fine. It's it it's there's so many pros and cons to like any decision that we make, right? So I have taken the things I've learned in my previous experiences and said, well, I really want to have better boundaries around how I show up on all the psychic apps this season of my life. So that is going to look like a lot more structure. That looks like going on them at a certain time and getting off them at a certain time, and also creating a little bit of a buffer between getting off the app and like going to bed or hanging out with people or whatever. So having better decompression and self-care while I'm in that space. And if I decide that I don't like it or the money's not going the way that I want it to, that's totally fine. I can just get a job. It's not like I'm not capable of that as well. And by job, I'm not thinking that there's going to be like a career decision move based on the next thing, but maybe, I mean, I don't know, I'm open, but like just a job, just something to like pay the bills, which is totally fine. There's like cycles and seasons of all of these things in my life in our lives, right? Ours is the collective, but mine too. What else? What else has been going on? Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough, you guys? Haven't I had enough? I'm just kidding. Well, I have way more availability and bandwidth now to get you guys back into the door for one-on-ones, whether that's mini readings or you're really interested in doing some coaching with me. I would love to see you. I would love to see you because I can focus on you guys now. Like I can focus on more of you more often. Because what's so interesting about a nonprofit space for me at least, and like talking about death and dying and aging and all these things, it's like it is heavy and it isn't heavy, but there are times where it is all that I could think about. And it challenged me in a lot of ways as well to like come to terms with certain things in life and death, right? Things I can and can't control. Um, but that also didn't leave me with the bandwidth to like take on new one-to-one clients. I was doing mini readings. I've always been doing mini readings. I just gotta remind you guys that they're out there. But um, yeah, you know, the long one-on-ones, I just like didn't have it. I've got a few regular VIPs, but I'd love to have you on board if that's like your thing. If you want to connect, let me know. That's really the update. So I'm hoping to get out another episode in June. That's the plan. We shall see. I know you love me. I love you. I know I'm a little ball of chaos sometimes, but I really do my best to show up. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.